You have probably all heard of those idiotic street preachers who scream on the streets at passerbys. Most well-known are the idiots like Reuben Israel, Micah Armstrong, Dean Saxton, Jesse Morrell, John McGlone, Kerrigan Skelly, such Baptist groups including the ever-infamous Westboro Baptist Church. The nomination for Dumb and Dumber is that they ignore most of the tenets of their own religion, and have conveniently disguised their far-right fascism as religious piety. Their ignorance of their own scriptures is laughable. Number 1. They still spew the same propaganda that Sodom and Gomorrah was all about homosexuality. Most scholars know that this was a moral tale about how societies destroy themselves when they resort to violence and inhospitality. This is a motif found in all world myths and world philosophy, and never about mindless homophobia. That is just right-wing garbage centered on the cult of masculinity. They have a strong hatred of sexuality, and treating it as a necessary evil to pop kids into the world. As we know well, all they pretty much preach about is anything that offends their narrow ideologies of proper sexuality. If they read the Song of Solomon, they would truly be ashamed of their holy book. Plus sex is mentioned numerous times throughout the Bible. What it ultimately comes down to for a street preacher is that they cannot differentiate between irresponsible sexuality and a general hatred of sexuality. Sure, we all know that the porn industry is abusive and gives unrealistic ideas about sex, and that people who hoe around without protection end up bringing kids and give them crappy lives, and also spread STDs is irresponsible and hurts people. But there is no reason to call homosexual relationships, masturbation, responsible sex, nudity or revealing clothing is evil. If you ask me, the modest Christian clothing is not only hideous, but could cause dehydration in the southern climate many of them live in. Ever seen the McGlone and Skelly family pictures? The women are dressed in horribly uncomfortable-looking dresses from the 18th century. Then there is the whole identification with the Christian nation propaganda, which is based on Old Testament nationalism, and some delusion that the USA is under a covenant. So they take on some delusion that they need to be like Old Testament prophets proclaiming some judgment on the USA. Sounds like little kids who want to make believe that they are Superman saving damsels in distress. If you ask me, these people just have big imaginations and never grew up from make-believe ideas of what the Jewish prophets said. Prophecy as recalled was common throughout civilization in order to call out political corruption and challenge arbitrary taboos. These preachers are under the delusion that it is their duty to call people to return to the Donald and turn from their liberalism. In reality, all their politics are just far-right bigotry that have nothing to do with their holy book. Ironic that they never speak against corporate greed, stupid wars, or unconstitutional national security garbage. However, it is in their nature to see the right as synonymous with Jesus and the left as synonymous with the devil. However, the irony is that they support Donald Trump, who brags about grabbing a woman's pussy. Plus read over the New Testament, Jesus did not support the right-wing garbage. If anything, Jesus was a libertarian. Let's see, example 1, render unto Caesar. Jesus always spoke against greed, ignoring the poor, misogyny, violence, and xenophobia. Funny, even the Old Testament told the Hebrews to welcome the stranger, not build walls and shun them. Sorry, your prophetic word to turn to the Donald is not gonna fly. Your hatred of the left and love for the right ain't gonna fly either. Finally, their preaching style is so immature. Funny how they cannot ever engage in a civilized discussion without resorting to immature name-calling, screaming, and getting into everyone else's face. If you want to express your beliefs, you can do so without ranting like a mindless drunk. All it does is undermine your already ridiculous message. They claim to be trying to reach out, aka promoting their religion. However, they are doing a pretty crappy job through their endless rants and name-calling. Typically people don't respond to the rantings of a mindless psycho. So this got me to realize that they are really not interested in gaining followers. They have a persecution delusion that the more persecution they get, that they are truer Christians. However, the more persecution they seek after, the less Christ-like they act. There was a sect in Morocco in the 2nd century that purposely antagonized travelers by throwing rocks in hope someone would react and kill them, hoping to become martyrs. What it all comes down to is that they need to feel special and set apart through acting like a delusional idiot.